Welcome, everyone. We're going to get started in just a moment. Just give people another minute to join. Okay, well, welcome everyone to our International Institute for Sustainable Laboratories Circular Economy for Laboratories Community of Practice Forum. And our latest forum, our first of the year, is on green chemistry. Um, uh, just a couple housekeeping items before we get started. The attendees are in mute as per usual, so that we don't have to hear any background noise, but you are welcome to use either the chat or the Q&A. The chat you can use to make comments or chat with each other, and the Q&A is available if you have questions specifically for our speakers today. And we may have a few more at the end as well, but we will take questions after each presentation. This presentation is being recorded. As with all our forums, it will be available for free, both on the Community Practice website and on I2SL's webinar page, on our i2sl.org page. But before we get started, I just want to tell you a little bit about the Circular Economy for Labs Community Practice. We've been around for a few years now. It's funded in part by a partnership funding from Cell Signaling Technology, which we really appreciate. And it has allowed us to create an online forum to join our I2SL lab owning, operating, and using members with their suppliers and other folks who can help reduce things like waste, toxicity, and energy and other resources use like water in laboratories. So there's lots of different topics we cover. We tend to do a lot with waste diversion, but also this year we're focusing a lot on sustainable procurement and ways to create less waste and hazardous materials in the first place. You can join the community practice. You can just check out the website at circulareconomy.i2sl.org, or you can join and get access to a little extra stuff where we have places where the participants share and interactively ask questions of each other. They share blogs and resources in a library that they've created at their organizations to reduce waste. We've got videos that people have either made or videos of sessions like this. And we have we really make an effort to try and coordinate between suppliers and users in the lab environment through webinars like this one or roundtables where we sort of ask each other questions. And we also have a page just devoted to universities. The University Alliance Group has a campus section, and we'll be moving our new lab materials management working group into the community of practice as well. So I do encourage you to go check it out, join. There's even more extra stuff for free if you join at www.circulareconomy.i2sl.org. And before we get into our first talk, which is from Samy Ponnusamy from the MilliporeSigma organization, I'm just want to read a brief bio about Samy. He's been very involved in I2SL for some time, and we're lucky to have him here giving us some background on green chemistry and a tool that MilliporeSigma has available. So Samy is Director and Green Chemistry Fellow at MilliporeSigma. He helped found the company's green chemistry team back in 2007, and he helps research and develop greener alternatives. He developed the Dozen system, a third-party validated chemical evaluator based on 12 principles of green chemistry. Some of you have probably used it, but you may not be aware they're already on version 3.0 of the tool, and he's going to tell us about that today. Samy leads MilliporeSigma's greener chemistry consultancy business development, and he also helped launch Beyond Benign's organic and inorganic labs with Dozen applications. So, and we'll have Amy Cannon here from Beyond Benign to talk in just a little bit. So with that, Samy, if you want to share your presentation and take it away.
Do you see my screen, Kath?
Almost. It's probably just taking a moment.
Yes?
Not quite yet. There it is.
Okay.
Looks good.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks, Kathy, for the nice introduction and also inviting us to give the talk to I2SL team. Okay, again, good morning, good afternoon. I am in the good morning area. I am in Central Time. I am sure some of you might have heard about this dozen tool. If not, no worries. You can hear more how and why we created and what's the advantage of using the dozen tool. So dozen tool is nothing but a tool created with the 12 principles of green chemistry. So come on, Mike. Okay, my outline of the talk is going to be a little bit on our MilliporeSigma's greener alternative platform, and then remaining talks are all going to be how the dozen tool works, how to apply the 3.0 system with a product example, and a short video to demonstrate how the tool works, and close with the advantages of dozen. Our greener alternative platform consists of 4 categories of products. The first category we call re-engineered. Some of you might have heard, or if not, I am telling you right now, first time, we do not manufacture all the product we offer. We offer over 300 plus thousand products. We produce in-house 1/3 of the product, over 100 plus thousand. We produce in 55 plus countries. And those products we have been making for years, maybe some of them 50 years, some of them 100 years. Now we put a sustainability lens and re-engineer the process, make it more sustainable. But that's the first category of product. We apply our dozen tool to get a dozen score. What was the old score? What is the new score? So that product is a category we call is re-engineer. The second category is 12 principles aligned. I'm sure most of you are aware of 12 principles of green chemistry. If a product adheres to one or more of the 12 principles of green chemistry, we call that 12 principles aligned. For example, we offer several bio-based solvents, replacement for NMP, DMF, called Cyrene, that belongs to this category. The third category we call enabling technology products. These products enables alternative energy research, like solar and wind energy. Those products we will call enabling technology product. The fourth one, designed for sustainability product. These are all mostly both in-house and partner produced also. So we apply 7 category of, like a water usage, energy usage, waste created, all those 7, there will be 7 category and it needs to pass the threshold. Then we create a scorecard. Then we come up with, this is the DFS product. All these 4 category of products, we give this symbol with a globe with an arrow. If you see in our website, these products are either belong to one of these 4 categories. And all of them will have a documented literature, why it is greener. For re-engineered product, we give a dozen scorecard. Currently, we have about, sorry, let me go back. Currently, we have about 3,700 greener alternative products. Okay, for some of you may not be aware of 12 principles of green chemistry. These are the 12 principles of green chemistry created by Professors Paul Anastas and John Warner for 30 plus years ago. Now this is accepted as a globally accepted as a framework for green chemistry. Our company, we took this as our framework. Anything we do on sustainability, green chemistry belongs to one or more of the 12 principles of green chemistry. Okay, so you might be thinking, I am talking about an evaluator. Here, these are the 12 principles. How do you get a score? So we created an algorithm for each individual principles. That algorithm utilizes process information. Say you are making a product, sodium, just example, sodium chloride. What are the raw materials going in? What are the process conditions? Heating, cooling, all those things needs to be entered. All the safety related information is pulled through our internal database of SDS and GHS information and gives the score in 0 to 100 scale, 0 being the most desired. Of course, 100 is the worst. Okay. If you look at the 12 principles of green chemistry, you can see you can group them into 3 groups. There are 6 principles talks about resources, 1 principle talks about energy efficiency, and the remaining 5 principles are safety of human and environment. These are the 6 principles related to resources. See, waste prevention, always when you are developing a process, make sure look into do not create more waste. How do you do it? You have to see your process and evaluate, make sure unnecessarily, say, for example, we have a habit of washing, excess washing of a product is not going to help or improve. Only thing is it create more waste. Atom economy is the yield. Always try to incorporate more atoms into your final product. That means you create less waste. It's more sustainable. Wherever possible, try to use renewable feedstocks. It's coming up. Before it was not there. Now there are a lot of renewables feedstock coming. So when you are developing a new process, make sure you check on it is available and then try to use it. And always try to reduce the derivatization. One of the waste creation area is this derivatization. You protect, deprotect, that's unnecessarily going on. Some of them you may not be able to avoid, but you can always put a sustainability lens, check, you can avoid some of them. So you all know catalyst improve the efficiency, so try to use catalyst wherever possible. The 6th one is real-time analysis for pollution prevention. This is for the continuous process. Even though this is safety related, we put it as resource because to incorporate a pollution prevention automated machine, it costs money. So that's where we put the resources in this category. The second group we call energy efficiency. Why we gave one principle, almost 1/3 of the importance in chemical operations. The energy takes more than 1/3 of it. That's why energy efficiency comes separate group. The remaining 5 principles are safety related. So these are all interlinked to each other. Less hazardous chemical synthesis, design safer chemicals, safer solvents and auxiliaries. You can read and you can link it together. So now we have 12 principles, 12 algorithms, which gives 12 scores. And we have 3 groups, which gives 3 groups. How do you get a score for that? To get a first group, resources, we average the 6 principles to get a resource score. Energy efficiency, we take it as it is because it's only 1 principle. The remaining 5 are safety of human and environment. We average these 5 principal scores, get a group 3 scores. Then making the group is only for after the fact. One can re-engineer, improve the process, reason only. So to get if we give multiple numbers for one process, you as a customer, you will be confused, right? That's why we wanted to give you a single aggregate score, just averaging all the 12 principles, which is a high level. This is not an absolute number. Then you can go later to re-engineer or improve the process by looking into each group and address it there. So then our aggregate score is in a 0 to 100 scale, 0 being the most desired. Our dozen system was verified and validated by third party, and also we published in ACS Sustainable Chemistry and Engineering Journal. So how to apply the dozen tool? First, you need a process. So this is not a predictive tool. This gives the score as it is. So you need to have a complete process from starting material, process conditions, yield, everything. So you gather all those information and enter into our metric system. Then it will give you a score. Just press a button, it will give a score right away. I'm going to show you an example and also short video how the tool works. Beta amylase is a product example here. This is used to hydrolyze starch into sugar. This is one of the probably almost 60 plus years, 70 plus years old process. There was a customer, we didn't have this product at the time. A customer wanted beta amylase. So we did a literature search. We found up 1950 publications and we tried to start making the product. It worked. Then we have been selling more and its scale went up to way high. You can see almost 1900 gallons of acetone at the boiling point temperature is our plant is about to blow up one day. So we wanted to address this primarily safety related reason, but it worked out nice. We were able to improve the yield and the enzyme activity also 3 times and reduce the use of sweet potatoes. You can see here, we reduced almost 4,000 pounds eliminated and no solvent utilized, no additional electricity used to heat the solvent. How did we do it? So any natural product extraction, always there is a polyphenolic compound comes out. There's a trace amount. The easiest way to remove the polyphenolic compound is using organic solvent. That's what the original publication was. And we have been doing blindly without checking and went to a big safety issue. Then we were trying to address this, as Kathleen introduced to you, me as the founder of the green chemistry team at Sigma Aldrich. We were looking into how to address this. We gave it to so many scientists, and after a couple of years of time spent, we were not able to succeed because that polyphenolic compound coming out, thing that we were not, because it's a trace amount, we were not pinpoint. So we gave this project to 2 molecular biology scientists, those who had home brewing experience. So they brought their home brewing thing to the lab. How they brew their own beer, how do they avoid this polyphenolic thing? They don't use organic solvent. So after 3 months of bench work, they were able to completely re-engineer, make it water-based product. And that's where the improvement happened. And also, you can see here, this is the scorecard for all the re-engineered product. We give this scorecard. You can see bottom right corner, the new process, re-engineered process, the score is 1, almost perfect. The old process was 57. This could have been 100 if the sweet potato volume was not 6,000 pounds, because that's a biodegradable. That's why the score is 57. You can see some of the principles like energy efficiency and the safer solvents, 100% improved. And the rest of the principles are all either 90+% improved. Not necessarily every principle will apply for every process. So the NA are all not applicable to this process. Overall, we improved the process 98%. Some more representative examples. This is aminobenzotriazole, 93 to 46. So our metrics is, if you get a old score of 100, your re-engineered score comes to 99, we call greener. We don't put a target ourselves, we need to reduce to certain number. That means this no return on investment type of thing, because we try to put reasonable effort and try to re-engineer and then go for it. So it's going to be a step-by-step improvement. So that's what our metrics. Now I'm going to show you a short video. That video doesn't have any audio. You will see how to get started and how to get a score. These are all only 2 minutes. So dozen 3.0. Okay, you will see the first step is to get started. So sodium acetate and acetic acid gives sodium acetate. First step is launch dozen tool. You have to go to sigmaaldrich.com/green. That will take you to that landing page and create your account. Once you create your account, you will be approved in 48 hours. Then the tool is yours to use anytime. So create a new project. That's what the first step here to get the scoring. So you can enter a cash number or complete product name also. So the mass that you have there is yield. If you have more than one products coming out of your reaction, then that's a co-product. If you don't have, if you are having only one, you just remove the co-product. So enter the reaction conditions one at a time. Raw material also one at a time. We chose just simple video because otherwise it takes a lot of space. So the two raw material, all those blue dot I will give, if you hold the mouse, it will give a definition where to find information. B score is a biohazard score. You can find it STS section 10.6. Then you can just fill up those things, any catalyst used, how many steps, and then save and calculate. This is the end of the video. It will give you a score for each individual principles and 3 groups and the aggregate score. And there is the video went fast that the top right corner, there'll be a download button. You can download Excel sheet and look into which principle cost. Say one principle was giving high number, you can reduce it. Say for example, your energy efficiency score is very high. You look into your process, maybe you are heating unnecessarily too high of a temperature. Use, for example, you are heating to 200 degree, you can hypothetically put 150 degree and check on your score, and put 100, check on your score, and whichever you think it's reasonable, and then go and do the real experiment and then prove it. So this tool is not a predictive tool, but this tool gives score as it is, but you can use as a predictive tool after the fact. So advantages of the dozen tool, we are using straightforward way of calculating the information, because we all have a process. We want to score how green it is. So we use the readily available information. So the calculation is simple because we are using the benefits of the 12 principles of green chemistry. And we can clearly communicate to customers like you, this is our metrics. We use data-driven. Our platform is data-driven. The key thing is data privacy. Nobody can see your result. Once you log in, your login is only you can see your information. Even if you want to show it to your superior, you have to show it through your laptop or provide all the information. The other person has to register and input and get the score. And this is a free web-based tool. This is available anywhere in the world freely with the data privacy. One can use it. Currently, we have over 3,300 users from 92 countries. The dozen tool was verified and validated by third party. And also we published in ACS Sustainable Chemistry and Engineering Journal. And our dozen tool was awarded a couple of awards, Project of the Year for 2020, Environment and Energy Leader, and Merck CFO Global Excellence Award in 2021, and CC Sustainability Award in 2022. So we launched this tool originally in 2017. We start collecting feedback from customers. the users. Based on that, we improved all this improvement here is based on the customer feedback, and we gave dozen 3.0 and launched right before Christmas in 2024. What are the changes we did? Mostly user friendliness. The CAPTCHA has been a big problem always, so we improved that. Now we don't have that issue. You can create your own folder, and you can create copy and paste. So if you have a similar experiment, only few things you need to change before you have to type all the A from scratch. Now you can copy and paste and create a new product. You can build your own data set and change time also enhanced from 5 minutes to 30 minutes. The tool has been updated with the GHS and STS information to pull more updated data. And also we integrated to the Rivety signals. This is on purely for internal signal only because there are so many eLab notebooks available in the marketplace. So this may not be applicable. You cannot see it outside of our company. So we integrated for our scientists can get the score right away. And also we added the cache number. Before it wasn't there, we had to enter the product name and go to our brand name, all those things. So now these are all updated. So this is free and clear to use. So we encourage you all try to use it and give your feedback, and this will help you to get a green score, how green your process is. Based on our publication on this tool, currently 140 publications came out. So more publications are coming almost every month, 5, 6 of them adding up. So thank you for your attention, and put your questions in a chat function, and I am happy to answer any questions you may have. Thank
Great.
you.
Thank you so much, Sammy. That was very useful. And we do have a question, but before we get to it, I'm going to ask you one that was kind of bugging me after you spoke. What happened to all those sweet potatoes that you used to be
Oh,
used? I guess you
oh,
just
so what is the
glut.
question?
What happened to all those sweet potatoes you didn't need anymore to make that chemical?
Oh, yeah, we gave it to soup kitchen. No, I'm just
No,
joking.
I don't know. You're making me hungry at lunchtime, but that's okay. That's all right. I did have a quick question. You were talking about for example, the energy efficiency score. A
Mhm.
higher score doesn't mean it's more energy efficient. actually means more energy use.
Correct.
Is that
Yeah.
correct? Okay.
It has to
Just
be
wanted to
low.
check about
Lower
that.
the score, better it is.
Got you. Okay. And then we had a question in the Q&A. Is there a more in-depth video tutorial available on the MilliporeSigma website that talks through more of the feature of the Dozen 3.0 tool, like the different options in the tool, considerations when setting up the reaction, those kinds of things?
Okay, that's a very good question. The video is only, this video is the one over there, but we have the standard operating procedures. We have the frequently asked questions and answers. They're all under my account page. So once they register, they will be approved in 48 hours. They will go and access that. They have to go and access through our website only. Go to my account page. All those information will be there. So it's a straightforward way. This is not a brain surgery or anything. It's just to maybe any new tool. It takes a little bit starting trouble, but we will
Got
be
you.
happy to help you if you have any issue. But try to do it under my account page, standard operating procedures, FAQ, and this video will help
Okay. If
majority of.
you have a link you want to put in the chat or you can put it to everyone, or if you send it to me, I can put it in the
Yeah,
chat. When people go to use the tool, is it completely self-guided, or do you have any sort of helpline that people can call when they're working through it if they have questions?
they can reach out to us through the helpline.
Okay.
Not a phone
That
call, but you submit your
like a chat.
chat.
Gotcha.
There is an email comes to us. So
Got you. Okay, that's very helpful. Well, thank you very much, and we'll see if we have any more questions that come in during the next
yeah,
presentation, and maybe I have a couple more questions at the end. But
sure.
thank you, Sammy, and let's move on to Amy Cannon. Welcome. Amy is the co-founder and executive director of Beyond Benign, which I think everyone knows is a global nonprofit dedicated to green chemistry education. She holds a PhD in green chemistry from the University of Massachusetts in Boston and advocates for systemic change in chemistry education and global education systems to teach students and scientists green chemistry skills. Amy was also an assistant professor at the University of Massachusetts Lowell before founding Beyond Benign. So we look forward to this lesson today. Thanks, Amy.
Thanks so much, and wonderful. Thank you, first of all, for the invitation to be here, and I'm really happy to be presenting along with Samy. So it's a fabulous tool if you haven't checked it out. It's a really great framework for really addressing, the chemistry that's being done in the lab. So it's wonderful to follow you, Samy. Thank you. So yeah, I'm going to take a little bit of a step back and talk a little bit broader about green chemistry in higher ed. And hopefully you'll agree with me, if you don't already, that green chemistry is an upstream approach to addressing sustainability goals. And I'll talk a little bit more about that. Throughout my presentation too, I do have some links and references, and I actually consolidated them into one Google Doc that I'm sharing with you at the end. So please, actually, you know what, I'll just stick it in the chat right now so that if you're jotting down things, you can also just access all the things that I'm referencing there. So don't, go crazy jotting things down. So I'm going to start again, big picture. Imagine you are at a company and you are in the position to hire a new scientist, and you hire this fabulous new green chemist. And she's coming in, let's imagine that she's trained to understand the impacts of the materials and the chemical choices that she makes at the bench scale, from understanding a choice between renewable and non-renewable feedstocks to, say, the embedded greenhouse gas emissions that are embedded in the metals choices of the catalyst that she's using, or the solvent choices, or that the fact that she has solvent choices in some of her reactions. Imagine she comes in with a training in efficient process conditions. So understanding how to optimize energy efficiency and really optimize reaction conditions. Imagine if she's coming in understanding that her choices have economic impacts, and as well as social and environmental justice considerations in those choices that she's making at that scale. Imagine that she's also comes in with a systems view that brings in a holistic understanding of the processes that she's working on and sort of the greater impacts of the approaches that she's taking. This might sound like science fiction, but one of my favorite scientists, John Warner, says, if in order to get to science fact, you got to start with science fiction. It's got to start somewhere, right? And I think this is one of the most important parts about what green chemistry is all about. The very moment that we're starting to think about the choices that we make and how we're approaching our chemistry, how we're approaching our materials design, our engineering, our improving our processes, that is the most important time. In the time that we're deciding about what impacts our process and our chemistry and the design of our products will have on human health and what environmental impacts they have. So it's really that most important upstream, that upstream thinking is so essential. And of course, there's a lot of power in this, right? And to me, it's also quite empowering as a scientist. But with this sort of power comes great responsibility, right? There's a lot on our shoulders, but yet at the same time, there's a lot of opportunity. So, now more than ever, we need scientists and students with these types of skills. And we're hearing this from our industry partners. We're very fortunate that MilliporeSigma is one of our key partners. And so Samy and the MilliporeSigma team are wonderful key partners. And so we're not only hearing this from our industry partners, but we're seeing this, in terms of market growth and job growth. Chemicals market is projected to double, as well as the bio-based chemicals market is projected to increase by 2030, by 10% by the year 2030. Green jobs are growing. sustainability professionals is the #2 fastest growing job, and actually that demand, the supply for sustainability professionals across all industry sectors can't keep up with the demand, which is exciting and again a good opportunity. You know, and then there's also strong consumer and student demand. So consumers are expecting this from companies, and students really see sustainability as a priority in the chemistry curriculum and also broader in the science curriculum. So there's a lot of opportunity and again, a lot of good growth projected. So when our scientists, but what's actually happening now these days throughout our academic community, that scientists are coming maybe not as many of these skills, right? They're coming into these positions more traditionally trained. And that's really what we're trying to get at with throughout the green chemistry education movement. So if we're thinking about designing a particular product, and I use this example of an optical waveguide, a waveguide material, the top layer of this touchscreen computer. I use this example because it's something that I was working on as an industrial scientist when I worked for Roman Haas Electronic Materials many years ago, which has become Dow and now DuPont with all the mergers and demergers. But imagine making the top layer of this touchscreen computer. It's communicating information through a grid of light in both directions. You press your finger on the screen, it interrupts that grid and it sends a signal. So you can imagine all of the criteria for which we had to design towards in order to make a successful product, right? And so when we're coming into in that design, as I mentioned, sort of, you know, that most important time to consider human health and the environment, building human health and building in environmental impact into our design criteria is that most important time. And so that's, again, a big part of what green chemistry is about, is actually thinking about how we're making products and what the impacts might be. But there's a lot of considerations, right? There's also thinking about how it's made, what the process conditions are, from what is it made from, and then, of course, end of life, what happens after use. And hopefully, within this community of practice as well, this is not as linear of a process, right? It's more circular, where we're reusing materials and that sort of thing as well. But there's all kinds of things to consider, from raw materials, reagents, solvents, energy. Are there byproducts, co-products created? What's happening at the end of life? And these are beautifully articulated in those 12 principles that Samy already referenced to. And it presents that more holistic view of a chemical process, of a process for manufacturing a new innovation or a current innovation, from end of life or product considerations, designing safer products, to things that focus more on raw materials and starting materials, to things that more focus on process conditions, and then, of course, end of life. So again, it's a more holistic view. And these were nicely articulated in this book, Green Chemistry Theory and Practice. So this is where our organization, Beyond Benign, we founded by myself and John Warner, one of the founders of the field of green chemistry and authors of that book. And we started to really address the gap that's in education. We have this big vision where there's a world where the chemical building blocks of products that we use every day are safe for humans and the environment. It's a big vision. It takes a lot. It's going to take a lot to get to that, right? But our mission and how we're trying to realize that vision is to really empower educators to bring changes to their daily practice and their teaching. And we do that through a number of different ways. And I'll talk a little bit about some of the opportunities that we have if you're not familiar with some of our work. And again, I put that URL in the chat. You can just see and if I missed anything as I'm talking, I'll add it to that Google Doc. So feel free to go in there. And as I put it in that Google Doc, just email me if you can't find something. So our focus is educators because they're multipliers of impact. One educator sees many hundreds of students each year, and so they're really that multiplier of impact. So we're supporting them along, sort of inspiring and planting that seed of wanting to dig more, to activating to doing more in their teaching and practice, and then empowering them also to be leaders, which also is another circular loop here, because our leaders then work with us along the inspiration and activation sort of phases in a sense. And I'll talk a little bit about each one of these, what we offer at each level. We're hoping to meet people where they're at, whether they're brand new to green chemistry or they're veterans and they've been doing this for a long time. We want to support people, again, where they're at and where they are in this sort of journey. So at this first phase, this is more about bringing about awareness. We hold open access webinars, conferences, symposia, all kinds of things. We also hold monthly meetups for the green chemistry education community. And I'll mention just a couple of those. Our Green Chemistry Connections is a monthly webinar series. We rotate between time zones so that we can accommodate for a global audience. So our next one is on May 21st. That is the direct QR code to register for our monthly meetups. And these are places for educators to, we share brief presentations, we hold breakout groups, our hope is to really connect people and to, plant seeds, bring people together, foster some collaborative working environments and things like that. So they're held throughout the academic year. This May one is our last one for this academic year. But if you sign up, you'll be notified about next year's too. And again, that'll rotate between time zones to accommodate. We also have we also hold webinars such as these, with partners such as the Laboratory Safety Institute. Back in the fall, I believe it was, we co-organized a webinar with them. They are trying to address some of the challenges around replacing dichloromethane and methylene chloride replacements in laboratories, as many of you likely know. And so that webinar is actually recorded and it's on our GCTLC, which I'm going to mention in a second, which is an open access platform. And there's also some great resources in there to help people to, think about alternatives, including some of the solvent resources that Samy also referred to and some of the greener solvents that MilliporeSigma has. So all of our resources are housed in this new open access online platform that we've created with the community and partnered with the ACS Green Chemistry Institute as well. And this is called the Green Chemistry Teaching and Learning Community. If the acronym is hard to remember, just think of TLC, whether if you're in a lab, it's thin layer chromatography, or it's some tender love and care. We're giving the green chemistry community some tender love and care, or again, thin layer chromatography. I don't know. Either way, wherever your brain goes. So gctlc.org, and we launched this back at the end of 2023, so it's still pretty new and it's been growing pretty steadily, which is exciting. It's a place to find open access resources. It's also a place to find people. You can post chats and questions. You can ask, hey, does anybody have any suggestions for this? Because there's a lot of great expertise within this community, and it's growing. We also have things such as a job board, that for industry to post opportunities in this space, and that's actually gotten some great traction as well. So there's some really, really cool stuff there. So I'm going a little bit fast through here, but the next one I'm going to talk about is this middle section: resources, professional development, education awards, these sort of things that we offer at this level. And I'm going to just highlight some of the resources. Some of them Samy referred to, and also I'll just mention a couple others so you can get just a taste of what's in the GCTLC. But again, there's a lot more. We also have a new online professional development platform that's launching later this summer. So look for that. That's coming. And that'll house some courses, such an Intro to Green Chemistry course. And then we're going to dig deeper with some toxicology resources that I'll mention too, and toxicology courses in that PD space. So resources in PD, we have the GCTLC houses these bigger collections, such as a full Intro to Green Chemistry course that you could basically drop into an academic semester course, or you could pick out pieces that you liked and modulize it. You could take out, just the one on analytical chemistry, and you could say, oh, what's happening in greener analytical chemistry? That's cool. There's a whole module right on that. This was this guide to green chemistry experiments in the undergraduate organic curriculum. This was one that Samy mentioned that we collaborated with MilliporeSigma on, and that features the dozen tool as well. So it features a sort of a snapshot of what's typically done in an undergraduate organic lab course, and then what are some greener options? And then we analyze them using the dozen tool to kind of show the difference. And it's really cool. And within that, there's also, within this GCTLC, I don't know if I've got a thing on it, but it's in I know it's in that Google Doc, is that there's also a guide to using the dozen tool that we co-developed that with Samy. And so that is housed in our GCTLC, and I put a direct link in that resource. We also have a guide for the general chemistry and the inorganic labs. And then we have a toxicology for chemist resource, which is one of our most downloaded one, because it's kind of that, it's really cool. I think, this toxicology space is one that certainly resonates with me, but I think a lot of the chemistry community is that if by learning more about what makes a molecule toxic and hazardous to humans and the environment, these are things that are not in our training, by the way, if you're not a chemist, these are not in our training typically as chemists. And so by learning more about these topics, it actually makes us better, stronger molecular designers. So we can anticipate some of these unintended consequences that we typically haven't caught before, right? So, and again, you'll find all kinds of, there's also smaller modules. There's a great module that we just launched with Chem Forward on using their tool, Chem Forward, to find chemical hazard information. So there's that, there's the GOT DCM, there's all kinds of resources there. There's a greener solvent guide, MilliporeSigma, and there's lots and lots and lots. So I'm going to give you just a quick snapshot of what's in that toxicology for chemists one. When you think about this one, back in the 50s and 60s, the first detergents that came out were these highly branched detergents, these structures. If you're not a chemist, bear with me. And basically they had very low biodegradation. They persisted in our waterways. They persisted so much that there was cases where people would turn on the faucet in their homes and foam would come out. And so, the foaming in the rivers and that sort of thing that you might see historically, a lot of times is these very persistent detergents. And this is one of the most quickly addressed sort of hazards in a sense. The industry folks went back to the design table and basically took out some molecular tweezers. This is not actually how they did it, but you take out the molecular tweezers, move that around, and you turn it into a linear structure. And turns out that it biodegrades. And this was fairly quickly addressed. And in one of the first sort of structure function connections historically here to realize that structure and function, something like persistence, are connected, right? So we can design in and we can design out properties all the time, which is super cool for us chemists. So it's a great example. And it turns out there's actually quite a bit of information around this. And as a molecular designer, as a chemist, there's features that increase resistance to aerobic biodegradation. And there's also features that decrease. So if I'm trying to make something more or less biodegradable, I now have some design clues here. I can include or not include some features in how I'm creating my products. And so that's the sort of thing I think that the tremendous power and potential of what green chemistry can do. And there's a lot more in there. There's the features that decrease, blah, blah, blah. And so if we're talking about things like the UN Sustainable Development Goals and how to address some of these huge global goals, that's what it's going to take, right? It's going to take us rolling up our sleeves and sitting down and figuring out how we can, as chemists, engineers, designers, all of that, how we can use the tools of our trade to address these. And so finally, our leaders and our mentors sort of feed back in and work with us to design these open access materials, such as these guides. They work right alongside us. Same thing with the toxicology for chemist curriculum. That was a huge team of toxicologists and chemists that came together to design those open access resources. And then we also have a wonderful leadership committee that helped us design the GCTLC, from academics, industry, K-12 teachers, and a really great, wonderful group. The other leadership aspect that I wanted to mention is our green chemistry commitment. This program has been growing like crazy over the past couple of years, which is really exciting. It's an institutional commitment for universities to include green chemistry in their teaching and practice. And it's a community of practice of universities and colleges that have said, yes, this is important to us, and we are dedicated to bringing more and more green chemistry to our institution. It's not to say that each institution has it immediately figured out right away, but they're committed to continual improvement. And there's lots of opportunities within this. There's grant leadership opportunities for signers. I think we just came to 228 institutions, and it's a wonderful growing community. And the exciting thing about this is that the professional societies in the world are coming along. So the ACS updated new guidelines in 2023 that have green chemistry as a critical requirement in coursework. The RSC, the Royal Society, also has green chemistry mentioned in their accreditation programs. And the Canadian Society is working on this, and I believe there's a couple others too. So societies are coming along, and this is sort of where chemistry education is going. And it's done in so many different ways at each institution, from incremental to weaving it into all the foundational courses, to thinking about how we might bring it into our research, undergraduate and graduate research, and even connecting green chemistry to safety. We have all kinds of, we have profiles on the website, and we have all kinds of really great models for institutions and how they're bringing. Out of the 228, here's just 3 that we've sort of highlighted, where Brown University, which is our first Ivy League university here in the US, that has been bringing it to their organic teaching labs and an upper level course. And they're really just starting their journey, but doing some fantastic stuff. TU Berlin integrates research and teaching. Berkeley has been a leader integrating it into those foundational courses and making bigger connections as well. So with that, I'm going to close with, be part of the community. In order to, if you're talking about a community of practice, it takes people to bring these things back to their institutions and then connect with a community to really create change. And I love that you have this community of practice, because, we talk about this a lot, about what we're trying to foster in the green chemistry education community, because the more and more that we get together and share about the work that we're doing, the better we collectively get. And so come on into the community, and hopefully, hiring scientists on a regular basis, such as my scientist that I started with. It won't be, such science fiction in the future. So with that, thank you so much. If you did want to use a, scan and access that Google Doc, there's the QR code. And then I did drop the URL right in there, and there's my email address. And thank you
Fabulous.
to our sponsors and our team.
Thank you so much, Amy, and thank you for all this wealth of information and resources. I can't even get over it, and we will definitely put some links on our community practice page when we post this recording, in case people can't see the chat there. And this was both informative and inspirational, and we got some talk going in the chat that the chemistry connections has been a great thing for people too. So hopefully we'll get more involvement in what you're doing, and just really, feeling inspired at a time when I think we all really need it. So I do have a couple questions. I'll wait and see if we get any more in the Q&A as well, and not hog all the question time. But I did have a couple of questions, first for you, and then maybe for both of you. In the green chemistry sort of movement and education, is it really all about the chemical makeup, or is there anything that is or could be included about the process of experimentation, including behavioral aspects like I2SL and my Green Lab are working on things like the freezer challenge, and better cold storage practices, or a new fume hood challenge that it's a part and parcel to chemistry operations to have a fume hood and then maybe leave the sash open, and we don't really want people to do that. So could that ever be a part of green chemistry?
I think it's a wonderful complementary part of sort of sustainability. So what we often point actually people to the My Green Lab and I2SL resources and say, you know, our focus is definitely on chemistry and addressing the needs and the challenges in chemistry. But there's such great resources out there in the broader lab sustainability context for conservation. And I think all of it's needed. And I think like under the umbrella of sustainability, there's, you know, conservation approaches, more energy efficiency within sustainability, you know, the sustainable labs approaches. And there's also like fundamentally changing how we're thinking about and approaching our you know, chemical design. So I think that's all needed, and they're complementary many times. And that's why we love partnering. You know, we partner with organizations that complement green chemistry really nicely.
Okay, great. My second question for you is, and you mentioned some of the societies are starting to adopt some of these principles, and we've seen and been excited to see on a broader level, sort of the grant funding topic, trying to the grant funding enterprise trying, you know, to embrace sustainability more. There was a Concordat out of the UK recently calling for broader sustainability. As a part of funders' approach to whatever they're doing in terms of research. Do you feel like green chemistry is um, being embraced as part of these broader uh, grant funding organizations movement, or is it sort of sustainability's over here and green chemistry is another thing, or do you feel like it's getting the recognition that it needs?
There certainly could be more. I mean, even in the US, I think there is, you know, even with the current political environment, I still think there's some focus on an understanding of sustainability and the upstream impacts. There's a lot of talk of, you know, how we address chemical hazards and things like that. I think there could be a lot more, though, honestly. I think there could be a lot more. I don't think I want to speak to government funding at the moment, particularly with the state of the US. But for our industry partners, and maybe I don't know if Samy could speak to more of this too, I do think that it's of vital importance, and their industry is a key funder of ours as well. And I think that that's not going away regardless of the political environment, because there's a global awareness, right? And many of these companies are also global companies, and that this is just the direction to be going. So I think from a funding and industry perspective, that's for sure not. It's definitely where it's going. I don't know if you wanted to add any more, Samy.
Kathleen, I add to Amy's thing. So we proved green chemistry is not an added expense. It's a good business decision. So that's why, I mean, industry they all have to adopt and do it. So, and we are an example. So that's why we are doing it. So
Okay,
of
I'm
course
good.
we have to save the Mother Earth, but that's a good business decision. So.
Sure. I'm going to go there just a little bit and ask you about hopefully not controversial question with an increased emphasis on, at least for, like say in I2SL's various groups, focusing on the efficiency part of what we do as being something that saves money because money's an issue, and
Mhm.
some of the words surrounding sustainability being problematic. Are you okay keeping the term green chemistry? Or are you just going to keep calling it that? And is that okay? And can we keep doing
Yes,
it too?
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
I would say too. I think it's got a nice clear definition, and if you read the, you know, the book, which it's a short book, so if anyone wants to read it, it's a short, you know, it's not about that this is just nice to have. Yes, we wish that of course people would do it because it's the right thing to do, but there's also all these business there's business considerations, there's real business reasons. You know, there's reductions in waste, there's reductions in hazardous chemical use. And these result in, I mean, if you look at the numbers for the EPA's Green Chemistry Challenge Award, I mean, the number of tons of solvents that they've saved in just those awards alone is tremendous. And so there's a lot of reasons, good business reasons for, and, you know, around innovation, cost, all of these things. So,
Okay.
go ahead, Samy.
Did you want to respond also, Sammy? No. Okay. Maybe you just have your hand up by accident. Nothing. Okay. Okay, then I just asked Jonathan to put our last slide up, and I'll just thank you again for this great talk. Sammy, did you have something else you want to say or no?
Or, oh, I raised a hand. So no, I don't
Okay,
have one. Sorry,
okay,
actually, I have to
okay,
leave on
okay,
another meeting, but I'll stay
okay.
another 1 more minute.
Okay, well, thank you both so much. I think this has been really helpful and inspirational, and I think people are going to go back and look at the resources in the recording.
Mhm.
And I'll just give everybody a heads up. We don't have our next forum planned yet, but we do have our next sort of effort within the community practice, which is a way to both reduce waste and sort of make space more efficient in your labs. It's our Lab Savers campaign. If you haven't checked it out yet, it's all free. Go to i2sl.org/labsavers. You can get promotional tools and planning tools to promote lab cleanouts for the chemicals that you do have in your labs, as well as if you're not using that space wisely, do some space evaluation and see you may not need to build that next lab facility or be able to better plan how you're using your lab. There's even a great talk by Kathy Ramirez Aguilar on space optimization at Education Week, which is on our website. So go to the Lab Savers and also check out those resources that Amy provided. And thank you again, everybody, for being here, and to our speakers.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.